Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest, Mr. Jeremiah Eloso, who is going to share about his personal experiences as well as knowledge about event organizing. Let's give him a virtual applause.
So before we start our interview, let us first introduce ourselves. I am Kayla Bawal.
I am Angelika Luna.
I am Princess Binay.
I am John Patrick C.
So shall we start, sir, for the questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Sir Jeremiah, for our first question. So, how did you came up with your business idea?
Okay, so the idea of doing this events management started way back 2009. I was actually a fresh graduate then. And during my college years, I was really immersed into doing events because I'm part of the student council. When I was just a first year student, I was the vice president of HRM Society, and then eventually the following year became the president of HRM Society. And on my third year, I was the president of the student council. So naturally, we were in charge of doing the events for the school. So it came out naturally to me. And then the year after my graduation, I was asked by my cousin to do and help them with their wedding preparation. So that was the start of the whole journey in my events management career.
Yes, sir. So it seems like school events po really push you to this kind of industry po.
Yeah, truly. Because yan yung magiging training ground mo for you to be able to have a vision on how to do the events. Because before naman, wala masyadong formal training ground on how to handle events. Unlike now that it's being integrated into the school curriculum. But before, during my time, wala na bang events management dun sa old curriculum ng HM. So really, the way that we were taught and trained to handle school events was really the training ground para magawa ko yung mga ginagawa in the events management industry.
Okay, sir. That's nice to hear. For our next question naman po. What personality traits, skills, and education do you think all event planners must have?
Okay, I think that as an events management enthusiast, it's very important that you're passionate about your craft. And luckily, that aside from what I had mentioned a while ago, of the many activities that I have immersed myself into during my college years, I feel that it was very helpful that I feel I mean, without lifting my chair. Kasi parang feeling ko yung mga iba't ibang aspeto ng events, I possess that kind of keen and interest and talent with na kailangan with events management. Like I dwell or I dabble a little bit into fashion designing. So I have more or less a taste of fashion. I do love to cook, prepare beverages, flower arrangement, and enthusiast with the music. So yung mga little details na yon, when you put them together, basically that's events management eh. So I encourage yung for people who will dabble into events management, dapat meron kang interest with those kinds of things because these are the elements of events.
Thank you, sir. So the third question is something personal naman po.
Mhm.
Recalling your first event, did you remember instances wherein your team struggled?
Okay, so actually the first time I handled my event, which as I have mentioned, was parang it's an experiment because that's the first formal and professional event na hindi school related. But hindi ko rin ma-imagine how I was able to pull that off considering I am a one-man team. Kasi parang hindi without anticipation naman kung magkanong ibibigay na 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 sweldo nung pinsan ko kasi syempre you know naman kapag pinsan mo na hindi mo siya ma-charge ng supposedly na yun yung presyo. But then syempre, nandun yung pakiusap na pinsan mo, ganyan-ganyan. So wala akong staff actually. And I made use of my cousins as parang members of the team to assist me during the wedding preparation. So there's a pros and cons about it. It's a pros or advantage because you are able to have a bond with your cousins and relatives to assist and be part of the event. Pero syempre nandoon din yung disadvantage na parang ang hirap utusan kasi pinsan mo na one, hindi mo naman sila bibigyan ng sweldo for that because it's actually their help on the project. But they were very supportive of me because they know that that's my first events management endeavor na outside school event.
Okay, sir. Next question is, do you have event software and tools you like using, and why did you use them during your event management? Ano, sir?
Okay. All right. So I actually don't have an event management software because I feel na for now I don't need yet to have those kinds of software kasi hindi naman pa ganon kalalaki yung mga events na hinahandle ko, but if I mean eventually when your events gets bigger and the accounts gets or the accounts get more demanding of the event management software, then maybe that will be the time that I will be required or I will have to purchase those kinds of software.
Okay, sir. So during these days, how do you keep up with industry trends and news?
Okay. So as we all know that the events management industry has also been affected with the global health crisis na COVID-19, and on the onset, medyo hindi pa agad-agad naka-recover ang events management industry considering the restrictions set by the IATF na very minimal yung gathering, no? But eventually medyo nagpo-progress, but and matter of factly na naapektuhan yung some of my events. I was not able na-risked, hindi naman na-cancel. So medyo with that kind of challenge, kailangang mag-keep up din tayo by following the protocol set forth by the IATF.
You know what, sir? We were really inspired by what you said, that you're a one-man team, because it is something that's very unusual, right, sir? Because by that you
Right.
become you don't have to depend on others, right, sir? So let us now
That
proceed
is true. But yeah.
Yeah, sure, sir. Do you have something to say
Yeah,
po?
pero experimental lang 'yon. Pero syempre ngayon medyo nagiging demanding na rin kasi yung event. So, maybe one-man team is not applicable for now. I mean, in some of the events. Some events pwede kasi like what I have mentioned, I had my cousins and relatives na part of the event na rin, pero kumbaga hindi, I mean, they don't have a formal training of the event, so wala ka masyadong expectation for them to execute perfectly kung ano man yung instruction mo. But then ngayon my students are very lucky kasi sila yung nagiging kasama ko of some of my events.
Thank you, sir. So can we proceed na po to the next questions?
So good morning, sir. For your next question po. How do you manage event promotion, including social media, outreach, and email campaigns?
Okay. In terms of marketing, actually wala nga akong page because I resort mostly on word of mouth advertisement. Most of my clients are products of word of mouth. Kumbaga, these are clients na referred by previous clients. So, and also because I first and foremost I am a full-time professor as my first job. So hindi ko masyadong ma-market yung sarili ko fully because minsan as we all know that most of the events are being done on weekend. And even that Saturdays and Sundays are rest day. Minsan kinukuha rin siya kasi ng school eh, 'di ba? As you're all aware of, and minsan you are also able to observe that in your teachers na kahit Sabado and Linggo may ginagawa silang mga academic matters. So hindi ko masyadong minamarket yung sarili ko ng todo-todo kasi parang minsan ayoko kasi magkaroon ng impression na parang sobrang boost yung marketing ko and then ko naman ma-accommodate. So medyo it's gonna be a pressure on my end and maybe it can cause a negative publicity na hindi ko na-accommodate. So I would just rather rely on authentic na na client na refer because the referral are an indication na naging maganda at maayos yung serbisyo mo with the previous client.
Opo, sir. So next po, what makes an event successful and how do you measure that success?
Okay. So for me, I consider myself, I consider the event successful if the clients are truly satisfied with the level of service that you have given, if the plan was executed well, although that along the way, yung plans mo mababali din eh because of some of the situation or some of the unavoidable circumstances. But at the end of the day, when you feel that your clients are happy, they are satisfied, then for me, that's the success of the event.
So for next question po, what was your most successful event planning experience?
So one of the most successful events that I was able to handle was a surprise birthday party or any surprise event. When the surprise event becomes really a surprise event and parang nakita mo doon yung genuine reaction, then na-achieve mo yung objective of becoming a surprise event. Kapag na-surprise talaga yung tao na isa-surprise mo, 'di ba? I have this one event na a debut party, although it's not a surprise party, pero surprise yung gift. And the debutant was very surprised that yung inaasam-asam niya na car na ibibigay sa kanya ay ibinigay agad during the party. So that was one of the hush-hush na kailangang i-keep namin as a secret, and how do you make it as one of the highlight of the event na maso-surprise talaga yung debutant was one of the highlight and one of the most memorable moments namin sa events management team namin.
So thank you, sir. For the next question, what is your game plan for managing event budgets?
When it comes to the budget, syempre it's a challenge because you have to make sure that you are able to find a supplier that will fit sa budget ng iyong client. And so as an answer to that, you have to have a pool of suppliers um, that will match the expectation of the client and match their budget as well para mabigay mo rin naman sa kanila yung satisfaction and value within their budget.
So next po, how would you handle an event going over budget?
Syempre pag over budget, well, in my case kasi, I don't do yung events na ibibigay sa akin yung pera tapos ako na yung magba-budget. In my case kasi, I present the clients the quotation of the different suppliers, and they have the approval of each of the requirements of the event, and hindi pa naman ako nagkakaroon ng instances na I become over budget on the event kasi mahirap 'yun pag na over budget ka. Syempre kailangan mong abonohan, or it's the other way around na baka ma-shock or magulat yung client mo na bakit na-over budget tayo dito. Because you have to keep in mind that when you organize an event or ikaw yung host ng event, you set budget kasi in each of the requirements for the event. So it's very difficult to be over budget, but there are times na rather than being over budget, nagkakaroon pa ako ng savings doon sa event kasi nakuha ko ng mas mura yung supplier or binigyan ng discount. So that's better rather than being over budget.
Thank you, sir. So proceed po tayo sa next set of questions.
So for the next question, Mr. How would you deliver an outstanding event on a limited budget?
Okay. Outstanding event on a limited budget. Medyo challenging yun, no? Kasi merong mga clients na ganyan na gusto bongga, pero ang budget napaka-minimal. So syempre bilang you are the one who handles event, ayaw mo din naman na yung event na i-execute mo is yung basta-basta lang or putyo-putyo lang kasi parang pangalan mo rin naman yung nakataya doon. So I make it to a point na magkaroon ng orientation with your client of what to expect, because it is important that you set expectations na example, ma'am, sir, since ito lang po yung budget natin, ganito po yung expectation natin ha. When it comes to the flowers, hindi po makakapag-deliver si supplier ng imported flowers as you expect. But with this budget, makakagawa naman po tayo ng magandang event, pero using local materials, parang ganun. You have to set expectations na kahit maliit yung budget, kaya namang maging maganda yung event. Hindi naman kasi natin sinasabi na kapag walang budget or kapag maliit lang yung budget, hindi kayang maging maganda yung event. Because I was able to handle nga mga events on a minimum or tight budget pero naging maganda. Or there are also cases na minsan utang yung bayad mo sa supplier kasi wala pang nare-release na budget, mga ganon. Pero naging maganda yung output.
I see. So, yun nga po, isa yun sa tingin ko, isa yun sa mga pinaka-challenging na pag-organize kasi, for example, sa debut or sa wedding, syempre, lahat naman sila gusto na maging maganda yung kalabasan ng event. Pero, at the same time, yun nga, limited yung budget. So, I think that's a very good answer. And for the next question...
Alam mo, Patrick, before the next question, if I may just add, siguro one thing na which made me the person that I am today, yung jumping into coming from your previous question about working on a grand project pero limited budget, is yung parang pagiging resilient namin when we organize events sa school. Kasi I'm sure that you can also relate na sa school kasi hindi rin naman makakapagbigay sa school ng malaking project, malaking budget, pero ini-expect ng mga teachers nyo to have a grand output na sobrang bongga, 'di ba? Parang nandoon din yung parang pagiging resilient namin na bakit ganun? Parang ang gusto nilang maganda ang event pero wala namang binibigay na budget or either maliit yung budget. Meron ka mang ni-request na budget pero kinat into half, pero nandoon ka na parang nasa peak ka na nung excitement na parang ito yung mangyayari, pero all of a sudden parang in the middle of the preparation only to realize that the budget was cut into half. And so parang gagawan mo na lang ng paraan kasi parang nandoon ka na yung level of excitement mo na ganito yung magiging output. And then so parang minsan ayaw mo na kasing gumawa ng plan B kasi na you're working towards the accomplishment of your plan A. And so parang pag tinuloy mo yun, abonado ka. So parang you have to make use of the resources available para ma-achieve mo pa rin yung plan na gusto mo. Yon.
As what you have mentioned, sir, is there any chance na may ganong event na nangyari? Yung, abonado kayo or halos wala na kayong kinita sa event na yon. Pero despite of that, push through pa rin yung event para lang masatisfy yung customer.
Not necessarily naman walang kinita, no? Kasi at the end of the day, it's still a business. But when you work on kasi like say for example, mga ka-close mo or kakilala mo, minsan okay lang din na halos abonado or minsan walang kinita kasi parang that's your output of love or parang gift mo na doon sa kakilala mo, friends or family members, and that's okay. Pero not I just have this one story na not necessarily my event, but I was part of the event. It was actually my protege or colleague before na she was the one who handled the event. It was a pandemic wedding, and I was part of the preparation because I am the one to host the event. So during the meeting, I was part of it so that I would know the flow of the program. And then come near their wedding, supposedly ika-cancel na yung coordination project kasi parang i-DIY na lang nila or sila na lang, and then nakapag-down payment na. So parang pinush na lang namin na ituloy yung project kahit kalahati na lang yung ibabayad kasi ganun din kasi nagre-request supposedly sila ng refund. Ang learning experience doon parang my colleague committed to the event without event contract. And so parang hindi mo rin kasi ma I mean, maintindihan mo yung concern ng couple na they are requesting for a refund kasi may mga kasi taghirap ngayon na pandemic, ganyan. Pero parang she insisted na lang na parang kesa i-refund kasi wala siyang kikitain, ay ituloy lang. Parang ganun ang nangyari.
I see. So, factor pa rin po pala talaga yung mga friends or relatives sa pagdating sa mga ganyang ano. So, let's proceed, sir, sa next question, which is, do you have any experience negotiating budget with third parties such as vendors, sponsors, or etc.?
Yeah, syempre ang part of the skill na dapat ma-adapt ng isang events organizer is yung ability to negotiate yung budget ng kliyente. So syempre you are entrusted kasi with a budget. Pero nasa sa'yo yun, and it's a known practice din naman, and maybe this is a tip for future events enthusiasts na another thing na parang side ng mga events coordinator is yung parang they also gain from the suppliers. So parang mangyayari i-haggle down mo yung budget para yung whatever savings na makuha mo, that's already yours. Example that sa isang supplier na kunyari for the host, ang professional fee ni host ay 3,000, but because of parang binigyan mo siya ng trabaho sa'yo na yon, so it's an internal arrangement na, and it's a fix din naman, so parang you double it down para meron kang incentive bilang ni-refer mo yung supplier na.
Nag-work din po pala dun yung mga incentives. Alright, so for the next question, what do you do when you feel stressed out during the event planning process?
Okay. So during the event planning process, it can be very stressful for the event planners. Well, primarily we are considered as sponge. No? Tayo yung taga-absorb ng mga stressors ng ating clients. Pero syempre, you cannot show that kind of emotion to your client because you're paid to do that or you're paid to be that. Pero so syempre, kailangan mong i-release din yung that kind of toxic or negative energy. And so what I do is I talk to my friends and pinag-uusapan lang namin yung mga stressors na yon. Minsan we do stress eating, minsan pinagtatawanan na lang namin, at the end of the day, you have to be able to find a solution to that problem, because that's what you are paid to do, to provide them with solutions, and rather than makapag-contribute ka pa ng additional stress dun sa iyong kliyente, you have to give or provide solutions.
All right. So again, we have a different ways to overcome stresses. Or all right. So for the next question, you've just been given a new event to plan. How do you prepare for the kick-off of meeting?
Okay. So when I prepare for the event, I make sure that I have all of the details that are necessary for me to when before I call my team. So that kasi ako not that kind of event manager na mahilig magpa-meeting. Minsan kasi parang or sa totoong buhay, mayroong mga meeting na hindi naman kinakailangang pagmitingan. Parang nagsasaya lang kayong minsan ng oras. For me kasi time is very valuable. And before I call on for a meeting, kompleto ko muna yung details. Now with the advent of technology, it can be considered a meeting. Kunyari, you have mentioned on your GC the details of the event. So hindi pa siya kumbaga the formal meeting. But before the formal meeting kicks in, I make it to a point that all of the details are complete, so that when I delegate tasks, they are provided with enough details so that they can come up with the right judgment or the right call of action when the tasks are delegated well, and napag-usapan, they are able also to ask questions sa akin, to probe questions, to get into the right details nung mga actions na pinagagawa ko sa kanila. And over time naman, parang I am very lucky because I was able to build that kind of template na parang it's easy to understand ng aking mga staff, na pag binasa nila yung mga instructions ko, gets na nila kasi nakikita nila yung overflow, or they have a vision of how to execute that event kahit pa ilang given the timeline.
It's a matter of time management also. So for the next question, what steps do you take to handle last minute or unexpected setbacks before and during an event?
Can you repeat the question, Patrick?
I'm sorry. What steps do you take to handle last minute or unexpected setbacks before and during an event?
Okay. So as an events planner or as coordinator, you should be ready with those kinds of situation na minsan ay naiiba yung plano mo. As I have mentioned a while ago, you have to be ready with a lot of contingency plan, because after all, a plan is a plan. Di ba, we are all aware that we have to have a plan A, and then if plan A does not work, you have to have a plan B. If plan B does not work, you have to have a plan C. Now, our alphabets would have letter A to Z. At the end of the day, kung ano man ang mangyari, you are responsible for all of your actions. And whatever plan you plan to take, you have to make your guest be satisfied. So because those challenges are inevitable along the way. So dapat bilang events planner or events coordinator, handa ka sa kung ano man yung pwedeng mangyari. You have to minsan take a 360 degrees spin, iikutin ka, patatamblingin ka para lang ma-achieve yung goal or objective of the event.
So good morning, sir. For the next question po.
Hi,
Um,
Princess.
Hello po, sir. Have you ever dealt with a difficult client? In what ways were they difficult and how did you handle the situation po?
Um, Siguro I can say, I mean, comparing because some of my members of the team already, I am very proud na parang nakakapag-handle na sila ng kanilang event. Pero in my entire event management career, parang masasabi ko talaga na napakaswerte ko kasi mababait yung kliyente ko. They may be difficult at some point, pero kumbaga kaya siyang i-handle ng aking pasensya. And looking back doon sa mga kinikwento ng aking mga members of the team na nag-handle na rin ng kanilang respective accounts, ay masasabi ko talagang na, and kahit sila, they can attest na napakaswerte ko sa aking mga kliyente kasi hindi difficult yung aking mga naging kliyente. I had this one team member who really experience as yung sobrang matetest yung kanilang patience at because parang I can say that the client was really problematic and parang hindi katanggap-tanggap yung mga ginagawa and mga demands considering the budget, yung masasabi talaga nating difficult. So, binibigyan ko naman ng advice how to handle the event because syempre they are the ones who are responsible for those. So sila yung makakapag-resolve ng problema. But I can say na parang hindi pa ako naka-experience talaga ng sobrang difficult to handle na client.
Oh, sir, I am just amazed, yung sa character niyo na pagiging mapagpasensya. For the next question, sir, what is the best way to choose an event venue po?
Choosing an event venue, the best event venue is something that will answer your objectives. Kasi there are many venues na akala mo ay hindi magandang venue. But when you have the right supplier that can transform that ugly venue into a beautiful venue, you'll never know kasi the potential of a venue until you tried. Minsan we become judgmental of the venue na parang, bakit dyan? And then you have found a very good supplier or a very good caterer or event stylist who have transformed a venue from nothing to something. So ultimately kasi the venue, ang mamimili niyan or the final decision will come from the client. But you're there to assist them, to convince them on which venue to choose. And now that majority of the venue na pinipili ng client, ang gusto nila is yung outdoor kasi may free flow of air. So ngayon, parang you have to assist them kung which venue ang mas may magandang potential kasi also as an events planner or coordinator, you have to have that vision. Dapat ikaw mismo yung parang makakapag-convince sa iyong kliyente that this venue can be something. And also, you can tell if this venue is hindi maganda or there's other venue na mas proper or mas maganda for their event.
Thank you, sir. Amazing answer po. Next question po is, how do you picture or image an event experience to be like po?
Because you have to, when you plan, you have to have an end view in mind. When you plan or organize event, dapat napipicture out mo na ano yung kahihinat na nito. Ano yung magiging overall image, what's the overall look, ano yung magiging mararamdaman ng kliyente so that you will go into that kind of direction. Because when you're clueless of what's going to happen, what will be the overall picture, maliligaw ka, you will be derailed. And so when you plan, you have to have an end view in mind.
Noted po, sir. For the next question po is, when the prepared plan for the event is failing, how do you come up for the fastest strategy po?
When the plan is failing, I mean, when plan A is failing, you have plan B. And as an event planner, you have to be a quick thinker. You have to have, I mean, yung jumping from plan A to plan B should be very quick. Hindi ka na dapat magdili-dali na parang magpaata-ata na parang, ay, ano kaya? Because when you're there, dapat na visualize mo na rin na pag ganito yung nangyari, you have to switch from A to B. That's how quick it should be. Because when you realize, when you're already on the event is really, really fast. Every minute, every second counts. Pero during the planning stage, medyo madali pa yung remedyohan eh. Pero when you realize that time is ticking, you have to be very quick.
Thank you po, sir. For the last question po, sir, can you share some unique experience in event that gave you a lesson?
Well, I can say that to each of the event that I was able to handle, there's really a lesson that you will get, or kumbaga there's a takeaway from each of the event, because each event is a life story ng iyong mga kliyente. And then you also value or take that, you that's your key takeaway. You learn from their love story, you learn from the values of the family, that and eventually they become your friends, they become parang nag-i-increase yung network mo eh. So kasama yon sa benefit or the perks in handling the event, because ang sa akin, I want to make it very personal to them. Inilalagay ko yung sarili ko sa kanila na parang when I organize an event, I make it to a point na pag ako ba yung client, ako yung debutant, ako yung bride, ako yung groom, ano yung mararamdaman ko? So I always put my shoe into theirs, so that there's a satisfaction, because that's what they need naman eh. They have to be happy for all, especially this is a milestone event. So you're now part of the event, that of that very important milestone in their life.
Thank you, sir. I like your perspective in life po, the way you see life po. I would like to thank our beloved guest, Sir Jerry, who spoke an amazing tips and learnings that will enable us to be inspired in building our own business events. Though he is very busy in his personal and professional schedules, he still find a way to share every knowledge that will help us grow. God bless you, sir. May you find joy in everyday life po.
Thank you so much, Angelika, Princess, Kayla, and Patrick, for this amazing opportunity for me to share with you the experience that I've had in the many years that I'm doing events. And also, good luck on your future profession, and may you also find your way into becoming an events organizer in the future, and maybe in your respective projects in school ay sana ay may natutunan kayo at may apply nyo.
Okay, so it seems like everyone are having fun and learning new things, especially through the help of Sir Jeremiah. Interviews like this are very essential because we can say that there's a lot of books, internet is always there, but personal experiences are always the best. For now, let us give a certificate of appreciation to Mr. Jeremiah Elos.
Alright, so certificate of appreciation for lending his time to grant the request of an interview from the students of Lyceum of the Philippines University, Batangas, for the completion of a required from the course conferences and events management. Given this on March 21 of 2021 via a virtual platform. This is to certify Mr. Jeremiah Eloso.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, can we take a group photo or document?
Sure, sure, sure.
Kay?
Wait lang. So, 1, 2, 3. Thank you po, sir.
Sir,
Alright,
thank
no
you
worries.
Sir.
po.
Thank
Thank
you po.
you.